Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Yesshift News Desk edition. I guess I forgot the music, but that's okay. I just want to get right into it. Uh, before everything, just want to announce / remind people that we do have a time for the Jon Anderson interview. It'll be tomorrow, Wednesday, October 23rd, 11:30 a.m. Pacific US time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern US time, 7:30 p.m. UK time. We'll have him for about 15 minutes or something like that, around that. So, yeah, it's a 15-minute window. And yeah, very excited about this. We had scheduled it previously. I needed to push it to this date. So glad that's finally happening. So keep an eye out for that whenever it's up. Yeah, whether it's live or you watch the archive of it, it's going to be great. Um, so, other things going on. I'm going to be reviewing ProgStock later in this episode. And then I'll also, well, before that, I'll be talking about some recent and upcoming stuff. Let me just go check something real quick. Sorry, I had to go look at something. Yeah, everything's in place. Yeah, I have all these topics in order. I'll try to scoot through them, and a few things might be kind of familiar, other things might be new to you, so that can happen. And yeah, let's just roll with it. So, looking ahead all the way to November 29th, there's going to be a Roger Dean painting session at Trading Boundaries. This will be, I believe, at 6 p.m. UK time, if I remember correctly. Um, yeah, I'm just looking at the info real quick. Well, it looks like tickets are £25, so people can go to tradingboundaries.com and book their tickets there. There are also dining tickets from the looks of it. Um, okay, it says our doors open at 7 p.m. So I don't know if that's just for the dining or what, but yeah, let me just go look at the post over on Roger Dean's Facebook page real quick. Make sure I have all these in order. Sorry, it's been a really huge whirlwind recently getting things in order for multiple things. But yeah, okay, so the Facebook post says doors open at 6 p.m. Um, After that, Roger will be on stage starting a new work and discussing his creative process, and he'll also be around after the painting to answer any questions or sign anything you want to bring along. Refreshments and light bar snacks will be available throughout the night. Expect the evening to finish around 10 p.m. All right, so if you're in the area near Trading Boundaries in the UK, then yeah, go ahead and check it out. Roger Dean's paintings are cool to see in person, so to see a live painting, like, that'll be really cool. Also, going on November 29th is Record Store Day. So, one of the things that's coming out that day is Yes's Fragile Outtakes. And I actually have the image of that right here. So, let me just pull that up, and then I'll show the cover of that. So, share screen. Okay, here's the window. Yeah. So this is how Fragile Outtakes is listed, how it looks. So yeah, probably not so coincidental timing, given that we had that Fragile re-release earlier this year. I suspect that Fragile might be the most re-released Yes album. I remember different editions of it, like, over the years. So I'll go ahead and look at the track list for this. So we got on side A, Roundabout Early Rough Mix, All Fighters Past, which is from the Steven Wilson remix, and as you can guess, is an early version of what ended up on Tails. We Have Heaven, full version, and that's a Steven Wilson remix. South Side of the Sky, early take. And on side B, you've got 5% for Nothing, alternate version, Long Distance Runaround, Slash the Fish, Mood for a Day. So it looks like those two are just the original versions on the album. And then Heart of the Sunrise, alternate version. That one has an asterisk next to it. So that leads me to believe that maybe that's the only thing that's been previously unreleased. I could be mistaken, but yeah, some of the stuff on here seems like it's been on previous releases, but could still be cool to have on vinyl. And yeah, maybe that new Heart of the Sunrise is new, but people can correct me if I'm wrong. Also going on Record Store Day, I saw this post from Jazz Sabbath not too long ago. Dad and I interviewed Adam Wakeman about that and the upcoming album, the 1968 tapes. So I'll go ahead and read this post and then I'll show the image. So it says, rather buy the new album at your local record store? You should. Indie record stores are the backbone of vinyl culture. Do make sure they stock the album so you can pick up yours on November 29th. Stores that participate in Record Store Day can also order the limited mono editions on white vinyl in the UK and on Coke bottle clear vinyl in the US and Canada. So yeah, very much looking forward to that Jazz Sabbath album. Let's see, here is the image that they posted, and it'll be on the screen right in a moment. Let's see, share. Oh, and I see we have a comment, which I'll look at in a moment. I have my microphone positioned in such a way where it's like in front of part of the screen. So if I move like that, my head like that, that's why. So there's the image 1968 tapes, and these look really cool. I have the other two Jazz Sabbath albums on vinyl, so definitely want to get the next one. Well, I don't know. The cassette one looks cool too. I gotta look into that and really discern. Um, but okay, so Daniel Paterno says, "Hi, Steven. See you tomorrow for the Jon interview." Okay, yeah, will be really exciting having that happen. Let's see, what was I gonna show? Oh, there's also an event, like an online event on Bandcamp going on. If you go to Jazz Sabbath's Facebook page, there's a Facebook event scheduled for Sunday, October 27th, 11 a.m. Pacific time. So that would be 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK time. Or actually, the 27th, that's when the daylight savings thing ends for UK, isn't it? So that would be, would that be 6 p.m. UK? Well, in any case, you should be able to figure it out. Yeah, it says 6 p.m. UK in the event details. Okay. All right, glad I got that straightened out. It says here, join us on Bandcamp at the online listening session for the new album, the 1968 tapes. The entire album will be played on Sunday, the 27th of October, from Into the Void to War Pigs at exactly, and the time that I just mentioned. A listening session with a friendlier time for Asia and Australia will be planned in November. Okay, so yeah, this might be the first chance to listen to the album, so very excited about that. And speaking of Wakeman, Rick Wakeman is, well, this is an album that he did with Gordon Giltrap from Brush and Stone, which I believe came out in 2010. But it looks like it's being released on vinyl, so I'll go ahead and show the image of that one as well. Yeah, when I'm doing like all this on my own, I understand it can be a little tedious. Oh, I see a comment from Dave Watkinson. What time in the UK? And please ask John for me when he may come to the UK. Okay, yeah, I'll see if we can squeeze that in. But if you're asking about the Jon Anderson interview, for the UK, that would be tomorrow, October 23rd at 7:30 p.m. UK time. But if you're asking about the Jazz Sabbath listening session, that's 6 p.m. UK time this coming Sunday. But here's the cover image of from Brush and Stone, and funny enough, this actually comes out on Jon Anderson's birthday, October 25th, and yeah, there's a listing of this on the Rick Wakeman Emporium website. What's it called? Um, yeah, I'll go look at that again real quick. So it's, yeah, okay, I got it right. Rick Wakeman's Music Emporium.com. Yeah, it's got 4 sides, and side 4 actually has previously unreleased stuff. A Dublin Day, Down the River, and Isabella's Wedding. So again, you got some exclusives here for this vinyl release. And you got a little story here. So yeah, it's really cool when these things get re-released and they put new content that was not on there before. So have you listened to this album before? If so, chime in. And I don't think I remember. Well, actually, maybe I have listened to some of it. I'd have to revisit and check. Let's see, what else do I have on here? Okay, so Oliver Wakeman released another part of his little documentary series about the making of his new solo album Anam Cara. And these are not too long, they're bite-sized each part, so it's really fascinating stuff, and you get to hear stuff from the people involved. But he and Billy Sherwood were also involved in the Madrigal Project album, The 11th Hour, which I have the info about right here. So let me just go to the proper tab. I'll go ahead and read the track list real quick. And this album, it's really good. It's very proggy and also has some jazzy parts. All of the songs feel like they belong on the same album. So we got Mod Frantic, A Question of Weight and Matter, Canvas, I'm No One, 11th Hour, Breaking August. I think I definitely heard Oliver Wakeman on there. Like, there are bits where the keyboards sound very much like him. Sumpanovit, Sisters, and Boat 5. A few of these are longer than 10 minutes. Like, one is 10-12. The others are almost 12 minutes and almost 12 and a half minutes. So you got some great lengthy tracks on here. And as for other personnel involved, yeah, so this came out October 11th, very appropriate given the 11th Hour title. So led by Kevin Dodson, who used to be in Madrigal, with John Van Hout, Harry Fix, and Charles Swanson, and Billy Sherwood guested on based. This album is based. He guested on bass on 3 songs, which are Mod Frantic, A Question of Weight and Matter, and Sumpin' Ovid. And of course, Oliver Wakeman on keys, Jane Gedder on guitar, Adam Holzman on keys, and Michael Lewis, who actually was involved with early stages of Anderson Ponte Band and came up with Inventioning, which, they have their own cover version of Onward and have also done a song with Oliver Wakeman, if I remember correctly. So yeah, there's that connection. Yeah, so it's a really cool album. People should check it out. Let me go ahead and show the cover of that album. Got it right here. Yeah, I only have a few images for this news desk edition. So after these, it'll be more boom, boom, boom type thing. Oh, actually, that's the wrong one. um, yeah, I just showed the Gordon and Rick one. Okay, here it is. I'll just show it right now. Yeah, I've shown it before probably, but there we go. Like the face with so this person who took their face off and like it's a mask. You got the hourglass inside. Really sparks the imagination that and really fits with the title. So, what else do I have on here? So I saw that Dave Watkinson, you went to see Bill Bruford with the Pete Roth trio, and yeah, there've been I saw a couple of video clips that were put online, and it looks like he's very much in his element. And I actually read this thing that Bill put on a in the description of one of his videos on his channel for the King Crimson Vroom Vroom video. Um, he says, I'm currently a featured performer in the Pete Roth trio. Pete is an exciting young guitarist beginning to develop a career as a performer. We're playing his music locally, when and where he wants. He does the logistics and heavy lifting that comes with any band starting out. He's taking on an older, more experienced player who's along for the ride. I have marginal interest in developing my own career, already developed, but I do want to further my music skills, which have lain fallow for 14 years. Pete and I have a balance of needs. I'm low maintenance and free as a bird. I've been asked many times to explain why I want to play a more reflective, interactive music in small, intimate rooms to 150 people, rather than a less reflective, less interactive music in enormodromes to thousands of people. Music, for me, now, is not so much about being able to play something, it's more about being able to think up fresh things to play in conjunction with others, in a small place, in real time. How best to do that at my age? Performing in the trio is a good way. So yeah, I really like Bill's reasoning there. You know, an intimate setting has fewer people, whereas a large venue like a stadium or whatever would have, it can feel a bit alienating, right? Because there's so many people, but there's so much, like, I don't know, it kind of feels like there's so much more distance. And with a smaller setting like a club or whatnot, it just, I don't know, it feels more comfortable. um and so yeah, I really admire that he has these reasons for performing with the trio, coming out of retirement but not trying to do the things that he did before. He's trying to do fresh new things, and he's able to do that in these smaller, more intimate environments. And it seems like things are going really well with the trio and the musicianship there. There is a little poster that I saw of the trio, so I'll go ahead and show that real quick. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so we got Pete Roth on guitar, Bill Bruford on drums, and Mike Pratt on bass right there. Um, oh, I see the thing is covering it a little. Maybe if I zoom out a bit. Okay. Yeah, but you get the picture. There's also a conversation with Bill Bruford, an interview over at the Strange Brew. So yeah, I really like that Bill is still doing these things. And he also put out the best of Bill Bruford, the Winterfold and Summerfold years. So another box set right there. And you can find the tour dates for the Pete Roth Trio over at peteroftrio.com. It looks like there are more UK dates in November. Yeah, we got Hampstead Jazz Club November 1st, Watermill Jazz in November 12th, and Dorking. They're in Pangbourne on the 17th, Windsor on the 23rd, London again on the 27th, and the Spin Jazz Club in Oxford on December 11th. Nice. Yeah, if you're like anywhere near any of those, like you gotta check them out. Cause for so long it seemed like Bill Bruford, he retired and was very firm on that, and so it seemed like okay, I guess that was the last chance to see him perform live. But now people have more of a chance. I see Todd Copper on Facebook saying howdy from Cleburne, Texas. Hi, thanks for tuning in. All right, the next thing I have on here, there was an article over on Louder about Thomas Dolby, a musician who talked about Yes. So what Thomas had to say about Yes was that, and this came out on October 14th. So Thomas Dolby said, I was really into Soft Machine, Genesis, and Yes. Yes's double and triple albums were seldom off my turntable. It wasn't the virtuosity that appealed, it was their approach to composition. When I listened to Close to the Edge, what interested me was the way a rock band could come up with different textures, chord sequences, and arrangements. They were getting away from the blues and traditional rock figures, and I found that really stimulating. The freedom to change key or tempo was very exciting. And he also mentions Rick Wakeman further down, saying, obviously, Dark Side of the Moon was a hugely influential album at the time, and I thought, I want that. The okay. Apparently, the styles of uh, Keith Emerson, Rick Wakeman, and Joe Zawinul's weren't quite what drew him, um, but yeah, I guess is more into some of these other keyboard styles, like maybe like Rick Wright and Pink Floyd, perhaps. Um, yeah, sorry, I'm trying to look at the context of this a bit better. Um, yeah, okay, so it's an interesting article there. Um, yeah, it really makes you think about the influence that these bands have on these musicians, and tastes are different, and it's just really interesting to think about. I mean, we've talked about how people will like take in their influences and then it becomes a, a whole new thing basically, but you might be able to trace where their influences came from. Todd asks, we're doing a tour here in North Texas for Pete Roth Trio. I'm not sure. It might just be in UK. I thought I saw somewhere that they might be considering European dates. Um, asking about Yes. So it would have to, whatever dates they have would be over on yesworld.com/live, which I don't think they've updated when the next tour dates are. I do wonder if maybe they'll be taking a break to work on the album that they've been writing, but I guess whenever news of that comes out, we'll know a bit more. But speaking of Yes, there was actually something that resurfaced. So you know how the Leave It music video, there were various versions of that. I think something like 18 or whatever, maybe 19, or I'm sure you could look this up, but Jukebox Heroes YouTube channel uploaded one of the versions that has not been seen possibly since the original airing, and this is the balloon party version. So you have the band members standing around, but they're shown upside down, and then people like the crew and whatnot are dancing around partying, and they have balloons and stuff. So yeah, a bit of lost media that saw the light of day once again. So it's fascinating that we get these things that have been lost for so long and then they come back somehow. All right, so now I'm going to be talking about ProgStock. So I did not attend in person, but I saw a few of the live streams. So Thursday, there was I guess they call it a pre-show, but it was a show. It was a concert, and this was done by Abacab, and they're a Genesis tribute band, and they did real good justice to the material. And it was interesting, like thinking about the way they were playing and thinking back to when I saw Steve Hackett and was just blown away by Steve Hackett's band last year. But yeah, like it's great that we have multiple bands playing Genesis music. So Abacab started with Dance on the Volcano, and they mentioned that this was the first show for their new keyboardist, Dan. So then they did Firth of Fifth, and then they did some of the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway album. They for sure played the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, Fly on the Windshield, Cuckoo Cocoon, In the Cage, which had an awesome keyboard solo. You know, Dan really nailed it. And Back in NYC. And then after those songs, the bassist, Chris Dagowitz, said that at age 12, he thought there were 3 Genesis albums. And then his cousin got out of the army and got him to listen to Seconds Out. And I think the 3 Genesis albums thing, I think he thought that it was just Genesis, Duke, and the one that's in between, I think, like those two. But he says they weren't. So for this set list, Abacab originally weren't going to do pop Genesis songs, but they got a special request from Anne, and so they did. Was this one they did Duke? Is that what they did? Or yeah. So on here I have Abacab, One for the Vine, and Cul-de-sac. But I thought they also did. I might have to look at Setlist FM for some of this. See if that has an update. But yeah, overall it was a very epic show. Okay, it doesn't look like they have it there, so never mind. But yeah, on my doc I have Abacab, One for the Vine, Cul-de-sac, and then there was banter about their favorites. And you know they're saying what their favorite albums were. I think someone mentioned Selling England by the Pound. Someone else mentioned The Lamb. Someone gave a little shout out to Calling All Stations, like maybe not necessarily as their favorite, but saying Calling All Stations is good actually type thing. That's one that I've been wanting to revisit for a while because I know how different it was because of the new singer. You know, it wasn't Peter and it wasn't Phil. So yeah. Todd says Dream Theater is doing their 40th anniversary tour. Mike Portnoy is back. Yeah, that news. It feels like that news was like a year ago, but maybe it was earlier this year. I don't know. Mike Portnoy's return. They did a tribute for Genesis back in the 90s. Yeah, Genesis was very, the prog giants of the 70s were influential on Dream Theater. Yeah, so then Greg Bendian from the Musical Box, another Genesis tribute band, came on stage. I think he's a former member of that tribute band, but yeah, he requested that they play Burning Rope, so they did that. And then they got Mike Keneally to guest on guitar. So they played Dancing with the Moonlit Night, and then they played Horizons, Supper's Ready, and Carpet Crawlers. So yeah, it was a very epic set list that Abacab did. Like, what a way to begin ProgStock. And I don't remember if this next bit was the same day or if it was Friday. Actually, yeah, I think it was the same day. Well, yeah, okay, so Rachel Flowers, musician, keyboards, guitar, and she was born blind but still able to play music. And so she played Let's Have Some Fun, which was from her upcoming album In the Moment, which will be available on Bandcamp. And her sister Victoria did the artwork for that. So it's a very great sounding track right there. Then she did an improv song that was also from the new album, improvised, I should say. And then played Night and Day, which is from her second album and includes some singing. And then did an instrumental bit, and then Time for the Prize. And after that was another track from In the Moment. I don't remember if she said what it was called, but then did the title track, In the Moment. And then for the final track of her set was The Lost Kingdom. And with her was, I think his name was Young Close, a singer and songwriter that got in touch with Rachel online and had this song idea. And apparently Annie Haslam, from Renaissance, did artwork for The Lost Kingdom. So yeah, it was a song inspired by the painting, if I remember correctly. And they were a great duo here, a great duet. So yeah, this was the first time I saw a Rachel Flowers performance. I know that there were pictures on social media of Jon and the Band Geeks meeting her. So it was cool to finally be able to, get a taste of what her music is like. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check out more of her discography. And next on here I have Kairos, prog rock band, and also synth pop. So there's some synthy stuff in their music. And what's the lead vocalist name? I'll have to look this up. I think it's Shelby, but I forget what was the rest of her name. Let's see, Shelby Logan Warren, or is it pronounced Warren, or maybe it's Warren. But yeah, Shelby does vocals and keyboards, and it was really cool being able to see this band. And Shelby is in her element. This is this has been her name for 3 years, and this is her. And having that element, and Rachel Flowers doing her thing, like it just goes to show that at ProgStock nobody is othered. They just have all these great performers, and they're doing their thing and being themselves, and it's really cool. But Kairos, I tried, Googling the lyrics while watching the stream, and so I was able to catch the titles of some of them, but there were bits in the middle and like at different parts where I wasn't able to figure them out. So I got the set list from Setlist FM afterward, but on here I see that it began with a bit of music, which I later found out was Showtime. Then I was able to find out that this next song was Esoterica. And then after that, I have 3 other songs, question mark. But on Setlist FM, I see there's Rumor, Technology Killed the Kids 4, Illusions Inside, and Phosphane. So I guess it was actually 4 songs. And then I have Boiling Point. And then the next song I didn't catch at the time, so on here it's Liminal Space over on Setlist FM. And then I was able to catch that the next one was Have Hope. And then there were a couple more after that I didn't catch, which turned out to be Stop Motion, Uno Attack, and Cloudburst, according to the Setlist FM page. And then they ended with The End in Mind and Ghosts of You. Oh yeah, I did get Phosphane on here. And the vocals sounded a little low during that song, but I think they figured it out. But yeah, this band has been around since 2012, and listening to this set, this was a new band for me, but it looks like I got another band that I gotta check out. It looks like their first album came out in early 2014, and they've had six total plus four EPs slash singles. But yeah, like what a way to open ProgStock, with these set lists here. Um, oh, the Prog Corner says, "Wish I could have been there." Prog Corner over on YouTube. Yeah, like when I watch these streams, I also wish I could be there for at least some of it. But being on the opposite coast, it's kind of tough. But being able to watch the live streams from the comfort of my home, like there's something nice and cozy about that. Just uh, lie in bed and turn on the thing. Have some snacks and um, have the volume up high enough to where I can really feel the epicness of it, but not too loud where it'll bother the roommates or anything like that. Um, so yeah, I really like that they do give that opportunity for those who can't be there in person. So Friday is when Patrick Moraz was originally supposed to perform, but we got the news update a few days prior that he would not be able to go to ProgStock because he'd been taken ill and was not allowed to travel. And we did get a video message at ProgStock. It was streamed on stage as well, the video message. Um, like the MC, Jimmy Keegan was one of the people who's like MCing or hosting or whatever you call it. So yeah, he's a really busy guy, Jimmy Keegan. But one of the people there said that Patrick Moraz had gotten surgery and was on the mend at home, and they'd announced ahead of time that uh, Patrick was pre-booked for ProgStock 2025, and that they're also discussing a possible ProgStock Presents show featuring Mr. Moraz in spring of 2025. So I'm just glad that Patrick is okay, and there's a nice message from him, and wishing him the best. He's a really great guy, nice person from all the things I've seen, and really glad he's fine. But yeah, in lieu of Patrick being gone from ProgStock, they had Mike Keneally do a set, and so Mike performed a Hallmark, and then did a guitar solo spot, and then performed Joe, and then Ankle Bracelet, and then We'll Be Right Back, and then did a jam with Jimmy Keegan and Matt Dorsey. So I don't know if this had a name. It might have been an improvised thing. But yeah, that was a nice opener for Friday, and then that was followed by I think it was Friday, or I don't know. I'm getting things mixed up in my head. Maybe Abacab was just on Thursday, and the rest that I've mentioned so far on Friday. You could probably look up the schedule, but yeah, it was a few days ago. But then this was followed by the David Cross Band, and Dad and I interviewed David Cross. I think it was last year. Yeah, he had put out a new album, and uh, I don't think he's performed near Los Angeles, at least not recently. So it was great to have this opportunity to be able to see a performance by his band, a full set. And so they performed Tonk, they played some King Crimson songs as well as a couple of David Cross's own songs. So Tonk, The Great Deceiver, Red, The Pool, Exiles, Calamity, Star, or is it Star? Oh, Starfall, I think it was. And then Easy Money, Talking Drum, Lark's Tongues and Aspic, I think it might have been part two. And then ending with Starless, and it was just so beautiful. Yeah, really bringing the 70s Crimson stuff to life, and some cool cuts from David Cross's own stuff. So, King Crimson is a band that I don't revisit that often, going back to listen to their stuff until I see there are these, re releases and anniversary things. But whenever I do re listen to them, I'm reminded just how masterful, moody, and mysterious they are. And the David Cross band really brings it back to life. So it's really cool being able to see them do some of the 70s stuff. And next month, I'll be able to see Beat do the 80s stuff. So, I'm not old enough to have seen King Crimson. Well, I guess actually, they were around for like a long time. What am I talking about? But I never got around to seeing King Crimson proper. So watching this set and then being able to see Beat next month, it's like all around it feels like I got pretty much a King Crimson experience that I'll be able to think about and remember. The two different eras and those being brought to life these days. So then on Saturday, I was only able to see the final stream of the day, which was delayed for hour and a half, something like that, because of some tech issues. Um, and I'm not really sure what exactly the issues were, but I do remember there were issues that delayed. I think it was Patrick Moraz's show last year, if I remember correctly. So I do hope that these issues, whatever they may have been, are sorted out for the next time. But that being said, having been on the other side of, being part of team that hosts events, I can sympathize. There's so many moving parts, and everyone's trying to do whatever they can to get things moving. But I will say that the music was definitely worth waiting for, which I guess it's easier for me to say because I was watching from home. Um, but yeah, it was still really great. So once they got going, they had John Mitchell and Jez Fielder. John Mitchell has been playing with Asia recently, He of the Moment tour. And they did an It Bites song called Man in the Photograph, and then Still Too Young to Remember. And John said that the lyric about bed has aged like milk, and saying that's not very progressive. So they had like a fun back and forth type of banter here. And then uh, they would show these pictures and stuff. Um, these slide presentation things. I'm trying to remember. There might have been one of Benny Hill, but I think that's who it might have been. But yeah, I don't know. But then they played Time After Time, the Cyndi Lauper song. Kind of a surprise there, but it sounded really good. And then they did a little bit of Joni Mitchell's Big Yellow Taxi, I believe. I have a question mark here, so I'm not sure how confident I was. Then they did Perfect Tense, which is a Kino song. And then they put a Frost song called Blacklight Machine. And then Lonely Robot. And after that, the band Saga got going with their set list. And Saga is a band I've been meaning to check out for so long. I remember in the 2000s showing Dad the remastered 90125 CD with the bonus tracks. So it had the cinema song It's Over. And Dad thought that It's Over sounded kind of like the band Saga. And, I'd been meaning to listen to Saga for so long. Dad has interviewed Steve Nagus, a former drummer of Saga, but even still, I still hadn't listened to Saga. So this was pretty much my first Saga experience, as far as I'm aware of / remember. At least a full Saga experience, and this was a really solid set. So they start with Ice Nice, and then Careful Where You Step, and then It Never Ends, then Days Like These, Scratching the Surface, which had some really gnarly guitar stuff, Framed, and then they played an instrumental, which I had to Google around, and I think this might have been Conversations, but I'm not 100% sure. Then they did Amnesia, and then The One, and then Tired World, and then The Pitch Man, which was very proggy, and then Don't Be Late, which, I mean, It's pretty ironic that they end with that song, given that the stream started late. But I saw that people were expecting maybe a couple more songs, and I guess maybe the delay prevented that from happening. But overall, I was really satisfied with their show. Like, Saga was very, it's another one of those instances of, yeah, I really got to check out more of this band. I think they have a couple concept albums as well, don't they? Like, I remember seeing song titles that had like chapter in the title. So, yeah, I definitely need to do a deep dive. I knew nothing of the personnel, what the membership of the band is like and the history of that. So, this was I was pretty much going in with no expectations really, and they blew me away. So I was not able to see any of the other streams because I was busy for part of Saturday, and then Sunday there's a Halloween party around here. But the streams I saw were really great, and it's something that ProgStock should continue doing, which I'm sure they are. But um, yeah, like overall, really wonderful weekend. It's always great to be able to have music on, even music that I'm not so familiar with, and it, really makes you appreciate what's new and what's familiar, if that makes sense. Um, the old and the new. So thanks again for tuning in to Yesshift for this news desk edition. And like I said, Dad and I will be back tomorrow with Jon Anderson for about 15 minutes, 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. UK time. And yeah, so uh, you can also tell us your dream Jon Anderson symphonic set list. And Dad and I will be doing a show on the 25th, this Friday, I believe at noon Pacific, reading people's lists of what songs they would love to see Jon Anderson do with an orchestra. Like, what's their dream set list for that type of thing? And it could be in Yes or outside of Yes, could include his solo stuff, collaborations. Like, you could really go in various directions with this type of thing. You can email yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com. I guess a subject line you could put Dream Jon Anderson Symphonic Set List. Or you could comment on our posts, which we'll be posting around and whatnot. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in and see you all soon.